Well, Vanuatu says it is looking to revoke citizenship granted to high-profile alleged rapist and human trafficker Andrew Tate. An investigation by the Organised Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, OCCRP, revealed the misogynist influencer received a Vanuatu passport via a fast-track program around the time of his arrest in Romania in December 2022. Dan McGarry is the Pacific region editor at the OCCRP. He explains how Tate was able to gain citizenship in spite of his highly questionable background.
Well, it seems that the agent who provided the support just wasn't aware of who this guy was. I spoke with her for a fair amount of time, and she said, "Well, I knew he was a boxer, but I knew he was a bit of a celebrity, but I didn't really know anything about him." And I asked, "Did you Google him?" And she said, "Look, I just don't use social media." She's somebody who, is very much a sort of a creature of the previous century. And as a result, nobody seems to have flagged the fact that this was a very controversial person whose application was being processed. Now, the Citizenship Commission, I spoke with them about it, and the commissioner told me that once a submission has been made, once an application has been submitted, the only thing that's really going to disqualify the person is if they show up on an Interpol red notice, for example, or if they have a criminal conviction somewhere in the world. And at the time that Tate was applying for his citizenship, he didn't have a conviction. He had been raided at his home. He was under suspicion and under investigation by Romanian authorities. And as it turned out, 15 days after he got citizenship, he was arrested by the Romanians. And by the time his passport was issued in January 2023, he was actually in jail, in detention, in Romania due to the charges that had been laid against him.
Yes. Do people in Vanuatu necessarily buy that argument from the government, which now says it does not want to encourage people of questionable background to be granted citizenship?
Well, Girish, there's a lot of money to be made in this program. Each agent makes about $50,000 US on each application, each successful application. And so, there is a tendency, an apparent tendency to, do volume, basically just do, a lot and not really ask a lot of questions about it. The result has been a fair amount of reporting. The Guardian issued a piece a while back. More recently, Intelligence Online, who we partnered with on this investigation, they published a 3-part expose showing some very, very suspicious individuals, including spies, espionage figures, and people who are very closely related, for example, to the president of Belarus, who were known as people who had provided financing to very dubious characters in Belarus and in Russia.
Yes. Can you tell us more about this Vanuatu government program that allows foreigners to effectively buy Vanuatu citizenship?
Tate got his citizenship through the Development Support Program. That was initiated in 2016. And so it's been running almost 10 years now. It began as a sort of an interesting sideline, a useful source of revenue for the government of Vanuatu. But after about 5 years, in 2018, 2019, 2020, the revenues from passport sales, that is, citizenship by investment, reached the point where they were the single largest source of revenue for the government. And as you can imagine, the government gets a taste for this kind of thing. Suddenly they have the money to do the things that they want to do. And it's very, very hard to turn off that tap, politically speaking.
Yes. So are there moves now by the Vanuatu government to revoke Tate's citizenship?
We haven't heard anything specific about Tate's citizenship. They have said that if there are problems. If there was a failure to disclose key information in the application, then it's possible that this may happen. It has happened in the past with Lalit Modi, who was a figure in Indian cricket. He was accused of making millions and millions of dollars off kickbacks. He did, in fact, have his citizenship revoked because he was trying to use it to avoid extradition to India from the UK. It is possible that the same conditions might happen if Tate tries to fight his extradition from Romania to the UK. He is currently facing an extradition order. Romanian authorities have said that they will honor it as soon as he goes through the court process there. So I think in a circumstance like that, there is some likelihood of it. However, we don't have any firm commitment at this stage that they're going to revoke the citizenship for Andrew Tate.
And finally, Dan, this citizenship scheme has seen the UK and the EU remove Vanuatu's visa-free travel status. How damaging has this been for Vanuatu's international reputation?
Well, right from the very get-go, people here in Vanuatu have argued that this is a potential stain on Vanuatu sovereignty and on the way we manifest our citizenship. A great many people are proud of it. We achieved independence in living memory. Many of the leaders of independence are still alive. One of the major figures in that, Ati George Sokomanu, the first president of Vanuatu, has always been vocal about his opposition. And now we are seeing an increasing number of voices externally, internationally, questioning Vanuatu's motivation in providing these services, and certainly questioning the level of due diligence that's being applied.
Okay, Dan McGarry, thanks for explaining it all for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.